Are you thinking about starting your own YouTube channel? Are you considering a DSLR like this one? Well, I'm going to give you all the reasons not to get a DSLR in today's FMTR. Many serious productions have used DSLRs exclusively or for dramatic effect. And really, I'm no different. I have this D7500 from Nikon. So why did I make this video? Well, I want to show you the difference between 5 different technologies that you see here. All 5 of these can be used for YouTube. The humble phone in your pocket is a miniature recording studio. For many of you starting out, this may be the obvious option. It does everything and you already own it. There's a ton of equipment and accessories out there to improve the flexibility of your phone. These phones are really easy to use. Having built-in storage means no messing with cards and readers. So unfortunately, I really can't recommend the phone as your primary camera. For one, the quality, it's just okay. There's a lot of issues with overheating. The battery is really not going to last long. You also can't see what you're filming unless you're behind the phones. Phones also have poor light sensitivity because they're small sensors. The GoPro and other action cams have become super popular for sports and action. These little guys can do it all: audio, video, photos. They are small and very light. They're very cheap. They're a lot of bang for your buck. If you were to drop one off your car, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They do stick to everything: cars, bikes, snowmobiles, ATVs, anything you could think of, you can probably find a way to mount this thing. They can be water resistant. And these things actually support very high frame rates for action and slow motion shots. And there's a lot of really good resolution ranges. These things go up to 4K, and this is just the Hero 5. Sadly, I still can't really recommend the action camera as a primary solution. For one, the startup is really slow. But the video quality in these things just sadly sucks. And the audio quality sucks too, which makes it even worse. The image stabilization is kind of a joke. Battery life, maybe under an hour somewhere. There is no zoom. The controls are really clumsy. There's quite a lack of manual controls. And there's poor color and white balance. From soccer moms everywhere to auto vloggers like Adam LZ, many have used a pocket camera like this Canon G7X Mark II. The audio, video, and photo quality range from great to excellent. You can manually adjust almost every setting. They're relatively inexpensive, and I think they're relatively small. They are also easy to use. And cameras like this have a 1-inch sensor. That's a huge sensor with really great light sensitivity. And also the monitors tend to be a lot better. You can usually flip them around, do things like that. I think the main problem is unless you already have one of these, there's really not a whole reason to go out and buy one. Quality is not as good as a DSLR for photos, and it's not as good as an equivalent sensor size camcorder quality. Now, unfortunately, these cameras are struggling to outpace cell phones. Many of these don't have a viewfinder. Many of these don't have mic ports. The battery life is pretty limited. These are all going to be limited to 30 minutes of video recording before switching off. Some, like this camera here in my hands, will actually switch off at 4 gigabytes or 30 minutes, whatever happens first. And the whole reason they do this is because of some EU tax law, so they limit them for that. I don't know why they don't just remove that limit for everywhere else in the world. All right, we're at DSLRs. So as I said earlier, DSLRs are huge and being used in production everywhere. I love using mine for shots like these. DSLRs are the best for photography. Their image quality is unsurpassed. You can swap the lenses, you can record video at high resolutions. Now these cameras have massive sensors inside them, and they're very, very light sensitive. So what is it that I don't love about a DSLR for video? Well, for one, it's got mechanical zoom. The autofocus is really poor, and it's gonna make a ton of noise in your videos. It really pretty much has to be done manually by hand, which makes the whole process slow and cumbersome for setting up your shot. And of course, they also have the same 30-minute limit as a pocket camera because of those same EU tax laws. They also have poor or non-existent image stabilization, and they have an exaggerated rolling shutter. Furthermore, the video processing is poor, and you're very likely to get artifacts. I'm sure you may have guessed by now, but I saved the best for last. This is the camcorder. Yeah, it's that thing your drunk uncle or parent shoved in your face at the last holiday party. However, this is my choice for the best primary camera the vast majority of you should be using. Its core competency is video, much like DSLRs were made for photography. This is my Sony FDR AX53. It features 4K resolution, 100 megabit bitrate, As you can see, I've banged this camera up quite a lot, and it's taken the abuse well. It's quite a workhorse. So what do I like about camcorders? Camcorders have superior autofocus capability that will make it much easier to set up and get a good shot. There isn't a ton of focus hunting, and there is no focus noise. Video processing is superior on camcorders, and in the same market segment will outperform all other technologies we saw today. The color and white balance are great. In fact, this camcorder's footage can be published without color grading in many situations if you're in a time crunch. I've skipped this clip to show you how it looks without color correction. Built-in mics in a camcorder are actually quite a lot better than most other built-in mics. I still recommend using an external system. Video stabilization is a huge advantage of camcorders. Not only do they have advanced image stabilization in their software, they also offer physical optical image stabilization. Think of it like a gimbal inside the camcorder. Furthermore, these have very long distance optical zoom, which is fully automatic. Just look at how stable it is all the way across the room. That's the image stabilization and crystal clear optical zoom at work. Overall, these are just easier to use for video. The viewfinders and monitors are perfect. There are external mic ports, HDMI, and shoes. They can be charged while filming, and the batteries last a really long time. I can get over 2 hours on the small pack and over 4 hours on this big pack shooting 100 megabit 4K. That's straight shooting, not counting any standby time between shots. Speaking of recording 4 hours of 4K, these do not have a time limit or file size limit. You can burn the whole 4 hours in one shot if your SD card will take it. This is very important because once you start syncing more than one camera or external mics, any interruption will halt your production. Nothing is perfect, so here's what sucks about camcorders. They are more expensive than similar sized pocket cameras. Amateur level camcorders tend to have some restrictions on the way you can adjust and lock multiple manual settings like shutter speed. Camcorders are also not as rugged or cheap as action cameras. The one biggie might be that some places won't like you filming with a camcorder. The bigger and more professional looking your unit, the more likely you are to have a problem. In videography, there's a concept of a permit camera, which is a camera big enough or fancy enough that someone will come and ask if you have permission. Ultimately, the choice is yours, and all the technologies we reviewed today can be used to make amazing content. However, each piece of technology has a core competency where it shines, and using it the right way will help your production.